Aloha, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the very first High Hopes virtual town hall. I understand that people are still joining us. Please come in as you are. We're very excited to share this space with you. High Hope stands for Hawaii Helping Our People Envision Success. We are a statewide initiative with youth leadership boards on Oahu, Kauai, Maui, West, and East Hawaii. These boards are comprised of former and current foster youth between the ages of 14 to 26. Our roles consist of educating, advocating, and collaborating with public and private partners to increase opportunities for former and current foster youth, primarily between the ages of 14 to 26. We also serve as the Youth Advisory Council for the Department of Human Services Child Welfare System. The purpose of this town hall today is to hear the needs and voice of young people, address any concerns or questions that young people may have on this call today, as well as sharing supports and resources available to them as well. My name is Patricia Du. I'm 25 years old. I've spent 6 years in the foster care system and aged out at the age of 18. I am also currently the president of the High Hopes Youth Leadership Board on Kauai. Joining me today is
Hi, I'm Melissa Mayo. I'm 20 years old. I spent 5 years in the child welfare system and then aged out at age 18. And I'm now currently the president of our East Hawaii High Hopes Youth Leadership Board in East Hawaii.
Hi, I'm Laurie Tochiki, and I'm CEO of Epic Ohana. Epic Ohana is a nonprofit organization that serves families and children in the child welfare system. And Eladine?
Hi, I'm Eladine Olivao. I am the Child Welfare Services Branch Administrator, and I've been with the department for 27 years. And I am grateful for this opportunity to be participating in the first virtual town hall meeting for High Hopes.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be sharing this space with wonderful panelists. Additionally, with us today, we have Delia Ulima and Causha Spellman-Timm joining us today as our chat moderators. They will be looking at all the questions that come in through the Q&A to ensure that we are able to answer those questions. I do want to note that we may not be able to get to all of those questions during this town hall, but we will try our best to make sure that those questions are answered after the town hall. If you have any other questions, please feel free to email us at highhopes@epicohana.org. Moving along, I'd like to start with the poll. We'd like to know who's currently online with us. I'll give you a quick minute to answer the poll now. All right, awesome. I'm so excited to see that there are so many people joining us today. We're very excited to be sharing this space with you. I'd also like to know, where are you folks joining us from? Amazing. Thank you guys all so much. It's so exciting to see that there's so many people joining us from Hawaii, all around the different islands, as well as we have some people joining us from outside of the state as well. Thank you all so much for joining us. We could not be more excited. I'd like to start off by sharing with you all some community agreements that we've developed for this town hall. Help us create a safe space. Use safe and appropriate language when using the Q&A feature. Take any breaks that you need in order to take care of yourself. Remember that the purpose of this town hall is to provide support and hope to current and former foster youth. Keep questions youth focused. Use the Q&A feature to ask questions at any time during the town hall. We want to hear from you. Be honest about the difficulties of your current situation. Remember, this is made for you and we are here to support you. Use the Q&A feature to offer any support that you have available for our young people. And if you are experiencing any technical difficulties, please let us know using the Q&A feature so we can try and help you figure that out. If you can't join us due to not being able to log on through the Q&A feature, or you do get kicked out, feel free to also email highhopes@epicohana.org as well. I know that we're all going to do our best to ensure the safety of everyone in this town hall. But furthermore, we'd like to give thank you to all our champions, as you can see listed on this slide. You all helped ensure the success of this town hall, and we thank you so much for your hard work and support. During the registration, we asked for you to share what your top 3 concerns were during this pandemic. As we are here today to focus on our young people, I'd like to share the concerns that our young people selected most during registration. As you can see, the top concerns are listed to the left. The first one was tied for employment and food. Second is housing and shelter. Third is technology. Fourth is tied for 3 areas: mental health, overall COVID concerns, and healthcare. And the 5th area is also tied with transportation and feeling alone. As you can also see, the concerns for our young people who are aged out of the foster care system and those who are currently in the foster care system are different as well. For youth who have aged out, their top concern is employment, and for current foster youth, their top concerns are technology and food. I really would like us to place emphasis on this slide right here, as these are really what our young people are needing support in right now with this COVID-19 pandemic. So please, I then remind you folks to use the Q&A feature to reach out to our young people to share with them resources available to them right now. As we get started with the discussion, I'd like to remind you all to use the Q&A feature to ask any questions that you have at any time during any of the topic discussions. We ask that you also click on Send Anonymous Questions so that way we can maintain your confidentiality of the questions coming in. And now I'm going to turn it over to Melissa.
Thank you so much, Patty. We would like to start off our discussion by hearing from Ella Dean, our branch administrator of child welfare, to hear about the changes and procedures that the child welfare system has put in place since the outbreak of COVID-19. Again, I'd like to state that if you have any questions or comments, the Q&A section is the place to do it. Also, if you are a state social worker, we'd also invite you to use the Q&A to share what you're doing to support young people at this time. So to start off our first question, Patty.
Hi, Eladine. Thank you so much for joining us on this call today. For our first question, we are wondering what the response and provisions that child welfare system has in place to protect their staff and families during this COVID-19 crisis. Eladine, you're on mute.
Thank you. That's a great question. And I just wanted to go ahead and start off with saying that at child welfare, our top priority is the safety of our workers and those that we come in contact with. So there's been lots of effort put around making sure that we're safe as we come in contact, not only with our families, but those that we service. So we've been fortunate to have face masks come to us via our director's office, who has been so supportive of making sure that we are prioritized almost as a first responder. So we've gotten face masks to keep us safe. We also have very talented workers that have also been creative, and they've been making homemade masks for our families, for our staff, and for those that go out and meet with our families, especially our assessment workers, our investigators. We also have been able to use social distancing within our own work areas. We are doing telework, which is we're running a schedule where we have almost half staff in the office on certain days, and then half of the staff is outside of the office. And this is so that we can also be safe in our work environment. We have learned how to use technology more than we've ever had to do before. So we're using FaceTime, we're using Microsoft Teams. And so those are all the things that we've learned on how we can keep not only ourselves safe, the families that we work with, and also each other, the staff.
Thank you so much, Eladine. I'm glad to hear that you folks are doing everything you can to ensure the safety of the social workers and your staff, and as well as the families.
Eladine, I know you did touch on it a little bit, but how are CWS social workers staying in contact with their youth at this time in particular? With the youth?
So the silver lining in this COVID-19 is that, again, we've learned to use the technology more than ever. And so we've been doing our, especially our young adults, they respond really well to texting. And so that was pre-COVID, but now it's almost taken to a different level. So we've been texting a lot more. We've been using our FaceTime on our cell phones. Um, we've also been doing, I mentioned Microsoft Teams, where we're able to get large groups of folks on the phone and stay within our own offices and still be able to stay connected. So those have been the main things that we've used to stay in contact with our families and the youth.
Thank you, Eladine. I think that's really great. And I think it's important that the youth now know that there are many different avenues that they can choose to stay in contact with their social worker.
We're also wondering, as family visitation with their biological family and siblings is very important, what does CWS currently have in place to ensure that young people are still able to connect with their families and siblings?
So our Ohana time is what we call it. It's visits between children and their families. We've learned, again, we've been using more FaceTime. We've been, if we can do a connection with the families, it be done outside. We practice our social distancing. So one example is, say a family who wants to do a visit, but the mom or the dad doesn't have a cell phone. What the workers have done, which is really creative, is that we would actually deploy two staff. One would go to the location of the parents and one would go to where the child is. And then what they would do is they would use the technology that we have, and then we would connect them that way. Because we understand there's challenges for folks that may not have, a cell phone or an iPad. So we've done it that way. And the state does have cell phones, work cell phones that have all those capabilities.
Amazing. Can I ask a follow-up question to that? In terms of scheduling visitations, is that something that a young person can request, or is that something a social worker is putting in place for these young people to have visits with their family?
I would like to hope that the visits are in concert with the young person and that these are being scheduled. If that is not occurring, by all means, the young person can call their social worker, they can ask for a visit to happen, FaceTime. Those are all options that they can have. I did also want to add that we are also exploring for those that do not have the technology. We're looking at proposing if we can get cell phones. I don't want to say burned cell phones, but it's those limited cell phones that we can get so that we can provide that to our parents so that they are able to stay connected with their children. So we're trying all different avenues to keep the contact going during this time.
Thank you so much, Eladine. As I know you guys are aware, family is such a crucial time in this moment of where we feel isolated and alone. I appreciate all the work that the department is doing to ensure that.
Eladine, do you have any updates on how the court procedures are happening now, and how will youth be notified if the court hearings are canceled or postponed? Or if they needed to talk to a judge, how would they end up doing that?
So coincidentally, we did have a court meeting yesterday, and we are partnering with all the different judicial partners on how we can continue hearings happening, how we can get our court reports in, how we can, and one specific question was asked yesterday. If a young person wanted to be able to talk to the judge, how would that occur and how would that look? And so one of the judges that participated yesterday said that if they wanted to meet with them and there was a reason for that, they could request that through their guardian ad litem, the social worker. And then what they would do is they would work through the court clerk to see how that could be scheduled for the young person. They did mention, though, that court time is also a very limited resource as they're trying to schedule hearings and things like that. But I thought it was really good that they thought about an avenue to keep kids, our young adults, our children connected to them. So that option is on the table. Going through the guardian ad litem and working through um, the social worker and then contacting the court clerk to schedule something.
Thank you so much, Elodie. I think that was a question about court hearings. I think a lot of us were wondering and how it was working, and I think there was a lot of other information out there, and I'm glad that we now know the answer. Thank you.
We're also wondering, due to housing limitations, and we know that housing limitations existed before COVID-19, but with it being even scarier now with COVID-19 being here, what is CWS's response to ensure that youth have safe housing at this time?
So we have our, if you're in foster care and if the department has placement responsibility over you, we do have our foster homes, our resource caregiver homes. We have general licensed homes, we have special licensed homes, and we have relative homes. We also have our shelter homes, our shelters that we have, our emergency shelters. And so those are always available for us to place our children in. If the question is about after they exit foster care, I know that just in general, the state has a housing shortage. And so that's always something that has to be brought to the forefront, not only in this venue, but in other venues. But for those that we have in care, we do have our homes, our resource caregiver homes, and our shelters available.
Thank you. That was a perfect follow-up segment to our last question that we have today, which is, what does the transition in adulthood look like for youth in care, those who are aging out?
So those that are aging out, and what does that look like? So we do have our imokako that folks are able to tap into. Prior to coming here, I was talking to Adina Koyanagi, and she's the one that oversees the imokako program. It is here on Oahu, and just asking her about what that looks like. And she said that there's approximately 174 imokako recipients, and 80 of them are from the island of Oahu. And so majority of them come from here, but different islands have different things that the way they run their imokako program. So for kids that are transitioning out of care, I know that we're looking at imokako. We have higher education opportunities for our young adults to do. I was talking also to another administrator, and I asked her, I says, do you still keep in contact with the youth that you that age out? And she says, she still keeps in contact with those. She says, I have one that's 27 that continues to call her. And so I think the relationship between the social workers as well as the young adult, those are built over time. And so if you want to talk about a support system, the workers are always available for these kids, for these young adults as they exit foster care. So those are just some of the thoughts that come to my mind as you transition out. We're here to support you folks through Imokako, relationships that we have built with the children, those remain intact.
Thank you so much. I'm going to pass it over to our moderator, Causha, to see if there are any questions that came in during this first topic for us to answer.
Hi, everyone. Yes, so we do have a few follow-up thematic questions in regards to housing. And it's really around what happens for foster youth who may have run away as their secondary housing options for them if their foster home does not take them back. And in addition with that housing question, there was another one around foster youth who have already aged out and who have been made to move off of the college campuses as they will have no home to return back to. So I'll go ahead and let you all respond to that. And then we do have just a couple of other ones as well if we have time.
So, full transparency of what's happening. So, we've had a couple of cases where just most recently where the COVID-19 has been scary for some of our resource caregivers. And what they've asked if they would be able to bring the children back to us. And so we've had a couple of cases like that. And what we've done is we've explored, we've always been able to place. And we have a licensing unit that's been very creative on how they go about doing that. We've asked prior resource caregivers that they've closed their licensing. We've called them back and we've said, hey, we've got some situations. Would you be willing to take our children back into your care? And we've never not been able to place a child like that. That would also apply to our runaways. So we've got some runners and there's some policy, there's some contractual issues that we're looking at and we're working through. For example, if someone runs for more than 3 times, can we take them back to the shelter that they ran from? Those are things that we're continuing till today. We're working through those contracted issues, but we've always been able, knock on wood, to be able to find a placement for these children. I just want to share really quick one strategy that we've put in place that allows us to find these homes is that we do a huddle. I call it a huddle, and it's a placement huddle. And what we do is we bring the administrators together and we bring the licensing units together. And what we do is we identify potential children or youth that are going to run or they're going to have a placement disruption. And what we do is we put them sort of like on this monitoring list and we're watching them. And what we're doing in the meantime is that we're at the same time, we're looking for homes and putting homes on the wing. Like we're setting them up and we're waiting. And so that's sort of helped us to try and stay ahead of our runners, those that come in unexpectedly, and those that come in as placement disruptions. So I hope I answered that question.
Yes, and sorry, but were you able to address the aged out foster youth who may have no homes to return to if they've been kicked off of the college campuses?
That one, I know that our ACF, there are federal partners. That's been a huge topic of discussion. And with the shutting down of so much of the colleges so quickly, lots of our young adults are left at school and they don't have places to come. And so that's something that we're working with the department to see how we can address that. If we can bring them back and look for placements, that is something that we want to do. We have different creative things happening in the different sections. For example, in Kona, we've got one worker that does all of their Imokako, higher education caseload. They're reaching out to the kids the young adults that are stuck in school and checking in and seeing what can be done on our part. So there's a couple of things that are happening in different sections on different islands, but it's an overall issue that we've been discussing with our federal partners on what we can do.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. And if we have time for one more quick theme question, and that is around, there's a few questions from different folks around the issue of masks or some type of protection if they are in some type of group home or shelter, and how they can access them if there are plans to get any masks to the homes or to the shelters.
So that's come up a couple of times in different venues, and our administrators have expressed wanting to have masks for, if we could, all 1,500 of the children that we have in placement. The reality is right now is that there is some struggle with supply and demand for the staff in and of itself, and so different folks on different islands have asked for volunteers to sew masks so that we can get them to our families if at all possible. So that is something we discuss almost weekly on how can we keep our children that we have in foster care, how can we keep them safe? We haven't been able to accomplish that other than asking for folks that are able to make masks and get that to our kids that we have, our foster placement kids. So I know that's not a clear-cut answer. Just know that it's something that we're paying attention to. And if we could, we would get them all protected. The first thing is I have to make sure that I get my staff protected with those masks, and there is a shortage of supply.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to be cognizant that we do have some phone call attendees that may not be seeing what we're actually discussing and some of the Q's and A's that are rolling in. So if you guys wouldn't mind, I'd like to, a participant has raised their hand and I believe they may have some resources or an additional question to offer. I'm just going to allow them to talk for a brief moment. Malia, if you wouldn't mind talking now.
Aloha, everybody. I don't know if you guys can see me or you can hear me. Is that how it works?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Oh, okay, great. So I just had a comment regarding masks. So I've partnered with a lot of the community here to help distribute masks, and we were able to donate 60 masks to the Waya Camilo. So Dina was able to collect the 60 masks for workers. And then yesterday I was able to donate 15 to the Halekipa shelter. So every youth that was at the Halekipa shelter and like handful of staff was able to have masks. However, Kel and others, I'm slowly working on connecting a wholesale price for masks as well. So they purchased some, but they're trying to find more funding. But I have a connect to wholesale masks.
Thank you so much, Malia, for sharing that resource.
No problem.
Thank you, everybody. This has been really helpful. I think one of the things that we knew when we started this town hall was that there are lots of things that we need to address. And that's why it was so important to share about what the needs are. And just like Malia did, also share resources. So thank you so much. I do want us to move on to our next topic, if we could.
Yes, thank you so much, Eladine. I just want to take this time again to thank you so much for that information. It was vital information that I know a lot of us were wondering about, including our youth in care and out of care. This next topic, we want to focus on COVID-19 basics and coping. But before we do that, I want to know, how are you all doing who's joining us today with this COVID-19 pandemic? Please share your response using the poll. I'll give you guys a quick minute to answer that poll now. As soon as it's up. Lori, would you mind addressing some of the poll results that we are seeing on our screen, please?
I'm really grateful to see that people are holding it together. You know, this is a time for us to become stronger and to use this experience to become the best that we can be. And resilience is a really important trademark. One of the questions was, I need to reach out for support. And I know that not everybody got to answer the poll. There are 180 participants in this town hall right now. And so one of the things we want to make sure that we emphasize is, if you do need help, please do reach out. That's what this town hall is all about, is making sure that everyone knows about what the resources are for reaching out for help. Okay.
Thank you so much, Lori. As we all know, COVID-19 has impacted our lives in many ways, and we had to have deal with the new rules that are set in place to maintain our personal safety, of course, and the safety of others. We'd like to start off this section by actually sharing a short video with you all about the powerful impact social distancing has to keep us safe. So can we play that video? So I just have to say that's a really powerful video, and it just shows how important social distancing is and how it's one of the main ways we can keep ourselves safe. So with that, we'd like to share a few COVID-19 basics. So of course, how to slow the spread, which would be staying home, practicing social distancing. When you do have to go out, stay at least 6 feet apart from people, wash your hands often, avoid touching your eyes and nose and mouth, even though it's hard, clean and disinfect household surfaces. Of course, cover your coughs and your sneezes, wear a mask when you are able to get one, and then try not to engage in large gatherings more than 10 people. And of course, follow your county guidelines, because we all have different guidelines according to our county. And just some information about how COVID-19 actually spreads. It is person to person, but it can come in contact with contaminated surfaces. And also just some information about who's at higher risk is individuals who have serious underlying medical conditions and individuals who have a weakened immune system. So as you can see, there are many ways to slow the spread and to keep ourselves safe. And Patty and I want to share what we are doing to maintain our physical, mental, and emotional well-being during this time, and what our peers are doing at this time. So at this time, we invite you all to use the Q&A feature to provide ways of how you're keeping yourself safe and how you're coping with this pandemic. So for me personally, mental health is one of the things that I keep is most important to me. So when I was 17 till now, mental health was something that was really important to me, and therapy. And I know that for a lot of other young people and even service providers and resource caregivers, therapy is a big help. And I know that through this pandemic, sometimes it's made maybe harder to keep those therapy sessions, or just if you have one person you consistently talk to about what's been going on in your life, it's been hard. And I think fortunately for me, I've had a therapist who's found a virtual way for us to connect using telehealth. And I think I just ask you all that if you're having a hard time being able to connect that one person that you talk to the most about what's been going on, try to connect with them and see if they have other ways that you're still able to connect, whether it's FaceTime, telehealth, a phone call, text every now and then, because I think it's very important. I think it's also important to self-monitor how you're feeling. Check in with yourself a few times a day, whether that's you have to set an alarm a few times a day to remind yourself to take a deep breath. Notice how your body's feeling. Notice how your emotions are. So yeah. Patty?
Thank you so much, Melissa, for sharing those ways on how we can take care of our mental health needs. I'm going to share just quickly on what we can do to take care of our physical needs. That hasn't changed. I think it's such an interesting thing to be going through this COVID-19 pandemic right now. We still have to take care of our mental, emotional, and physical well-being, regardless of a pandemic that we're in. And I think who better to know what it is that you need than yourself? If you sit down and you become aware with what it is that you need to be at your 100% best, find those things. I know it's a little harder for those who are physical in terms of going to the gym because gyms are closed, but take that walk, practice social distancing. You'd be surprised what you see people doing on Facebook nowadays. You know, we have some people getting creative in their homes, using some cars and to do some interactive and engaging things. I don't suggest it. Please stay safe, whatever it is that you are doing to maintain your physical health. But there are ways to do that. And I think the most important step is just sitting down and recognizing what it is that you need right now. If it's to go take that walk, you take that walk. If you need to go outside and lift your cat for some weight, lift that cat. I'm telling you, you got this.
Thanks, Patty. And I think another thing too that me and Patty often talk about is the difficulty of social distancing. I think as former WASH youth, we know how difficult it is to build that social capital and build that amount of people that we have in our life that we can talk to and reach out and hang out with. So I think it's important to keep those people close to you. Yes, we may not be able to see each other in person now, but we are now all learning together that there's so many ways that we connect. FaceTime, call, Zoom, anything really. So just keep in mind that you can still socialize by social distancing.
Thank you, Melissa. And I just want to echo what she said. It is possible. We live in a fantastic day and age where technology is not something that's foreign to us. It's been around for a while for us millennials out there. We've gotten very savvy with them. Social media has also been out for a while as well. I think this provides us with a really amazing time to use social media in a different way. So many of us just go on social media to really mindlessly watch videos or just see what people are posting and we like a post. Rather than just liking the post, comment, chat with them on Facebook, send Snapchat videos, keep engaged with people through that way. Post TikTok videos and duet them. We can all do the renegade dance together. You know what I mean? We don't have to feel alone during this time, and we are blessed to have the technology to do so. I want to throw it over to Delia right now to see what some of the questions and comments have been rolling in terms of this section.
Thanks, Patty. So not a whole bunch of questions, but a lot of great comments have been coming in about ways, first and foremost, that physical distancing does not have to mean social isolation, as the two of you have been talking about, that it's really not the social disconnect, but more than ever, the need to socially connect while we are physically distant. So there are many resources that have been shared by our wonderful participants in the Q&A section. So more than anything, we have resources coming in, we have comments being made about how people can stay connected. And so that's what's been coming in, not so many questions per se, although there's been some concerns from our young people about just the inability to do things right now. Can you speak really briefly, either Patty or Melissa, about what it's like to feel distance even during normal times while you're in care, and what young people can do to stay connected even when the pandemic is over for those young people who experience foster care?
Yeah, so I will say that during my time in the foster care experience, it wasn't just me. I actually had 5 other siblings who was in the foster care system with me, and more often than not, we were separated from each other quite often. Um, I think the ways in which we stayed connected throughout our time in foster care, aside from the visits, was just knowing that they were there. And every now and then, I remember getting letters from them, seeing pictures from them, and we would give each other in these visits little gifts to remind ourselves, like, hey, I love you and you love me, and that's never going to change no matter whether or not I talk to you once a month or I talk to you every day. I love you, and I know you still exist, and you're living in my heart. Um, Today I'm fortunate that we're all out of care, we're all adults, and we continue to reach out to each other through social media. We text and call each other. We play PUBG online gaming through the cell phone, hey, with everyone. And it's, it's just what we have to do to know that, like, I just want to make sure you're okay. And it's simple stuff like that.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
All right, so keep the comments rolling, everyone. And remember, we want to hear from you. I do apologize that we will not be able to get to all of your questions today, but I do promise that we are looking at these questions. We will keep them available for us to be able to provide answers for you folks afterwards. And also I love the comments that you guys have about, how you guys are doing to maintain your safety and what you're doing to cope during this time. So please keep that rolling in. Thank you, Melissa, so much for joining me in that segment on how we can stay safe during COVID-19. It is definitely a crazy time to be living in. And I'm glad to see that people are finding all of these different ways to maintain their safety. I know as we shift to this next topic, really this next topic is about general updates such as what is the Department of Education doing, employment, imo kako, independent living programs, and other supports available to young people out there. I offer this time up right now, as you guys have been doing so wonderfully. If you're a service provider on the line, can you guys please share with us in the Q&A feature, what are you guys doing to provide support for your young people right now? But I'm gonna pass over the torch to Lori.
So for this section, we're just sharing some things that we've collected from our champions and from others. And so I do encourage you, if you are in the and have the capability to add to the Q&A, that'd be awesome. And we are collecting those comments. So one of the problems, of course, for all of us is that everything changes so rapidly. And in fact, we don't know exactly how to what the next steps are going to look like. There's no timeline on this, and we're all in that boat together. And that's why it's so important for us to have this discussion. So one of the things is there are lots of questions about the DOE, and we did hear that that there is instruction ongoing on virtual platforms, and then there's been some postings about graduation. We did hear just this morning that graduation ceremonies will be planned on virtual platforms in ways that help to celebrate the community traditions and honors the graduates, but not with face-to-face graduation. And we know that that's a really big disappointment for a lot of people, but a part of what's so important to keep us safe and try to keep our community healthy. There have been many questions and concerns about Imoa Kako and independent living services. So for young adults in Imoa Kako, the IK providers have said that they understand that the pandemic has impacted employment, GED programs, education, and volunteer work for many of you. CWS, Child Welfare Services, and your IK providers want to work with you to maintain your eligibility. So they are practicing creativity and flexibility in what can be counted towards your eligible activities. In fact, we know that this town hall is counted toward your eligibility, which is a great thing for them as well. Most important is that you reach out to your case manager if you're experiencing any challenges. For young people looking at entering the IK program, please still apply. CWS and Family Court are working on a temporary process. This is one of the things Eladine mentioned, to bring young adults into IK and obtaining court orders through the judges without a hearing. We are hearing and saw a lot of concern about masks. That requirement just came up yesterday, and on Oahu at least. And so everyone on Oahu is scrambling to find those masks. And at the end, one of the things that we want to stress is that High Hopes and others are looking at ways to tap into community resources to help to connect young people with the things that they need. So there are many challenges of employment. Halekipa reported that of the young people that they're working with, are more than 40 of them had already lost their employment or had deeply reduced hours. So resources such as the unemployment office, and then a really good resource that we have on our website, our connection to, is 211 with Aloha United Way. Please tap into those resources. There are also issues about programs closing and transportation. And again, one of the things that we would like to emphasize is please see your case manager, your social worker. If you aren't connected to someone and you need to be connected, you can email High Hopes. We do have youth circles available for young people. And so that's also a way to become connected with resources that you may need. There are lots of questions, and we don't have all of the answers for them, but we do hope that this is an opportunity for us to find out more about those questions and be a resource for connecting people to the answers. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Lori, for those updates. I think they're really helpful for all of us. You briefly touched on it, but we want to just do a shout out of congratulations to all the seniors, any seniors who are joining us, and just any loved ones of seniors who are on the call with us. We just want to acknowledge the hard work that you put in for this year, and of course, all the hard work that you put in for the last 4 years. So that's just a quick shout out to our seniors. At this time, we want to move into messages of hope during this COVID-19 process. So we'd like to share with you a video of some of our young people who have messages of hope. Can we play the video?
A message to youth or to young adults during this crisis would be to do a lot of self-care. Read, write. I like to play games. I'm finishing games. And do what makes you feel good. What makes you feel happy.
I have been trying to work on my emotional health, my spiritual health, physical health, and my lack of creative health.
I think even in lockdown, you can still enjoy the little things, such as like the way your coffee smells in the morning or a nice hot shower. I think it's important to come back to the littler things when such a big thing is going on in the world.
Right now, I'm most grateful for the time I get to spend with my loved ones. It's time I wouldn't have had otherwise, so it's just really lucky and fortunate that I get to shelter in place with them.
That I can go home to my family. I'm really grateful for that.
And to me, I'm really grateful to be living life safe and healthy throughout this COVID-19. And I just want to tell you guys to be healthy and safe too. Please stay home, don't go anywhere. I don't want you guys catching the virus.
Foster youth, former foster youth like myself, we often have a capacity to be more resilient than the general population. It's a beautiful thing.
And whatever that you guys went through in care, use that now. Everything that you did, whether it was like remembering your siblings, remembering your family, remembering all the happy moments, just use that to get through this COVID-19 pandemic, whether we're all quarantined at home or not.
Some things that I think that young people in care need
during crisis or hardships is having at least one person to support them, having one person to go to and talk to. I think that for young people, one of the most important things they need to get them through a crisis is social capital. Having a support system right now is so valuable.
Another thing to remember is just don't give up hope, because we will get through this. One thing that I love to always remember is that you have survived 100% of the situations you have been through in your life that you thought you wouldn't survive up till this point. So don't lose hope.
Hello, everybody. This is Judge Wale sending out a quick shout out to all of you during this very scary time with the COVID-19 pandemic. Hope everybody's doing well. This is a time when we need to take courage and follow the instructions of our leaders, staying safe, staying distant from everybody, and just taking care of one another. We think about you, young people, and we hope that all is well, and want you to know that you're always in our thoughts and prayers. All right, you take care. Aloha.
That was such a powerful video, and it brings me such joy to hear messages of hope from my fellow peers, along with Judge. And we would like to just thank everyone who helped put together that video and shared those messages of hope. And so at this time, we'd actually like to turn to our panelists to share a few messages of hope that they have for young people and everyone else who's on the call today. But before we do that, while we are sharing, please use the Q&A to share your messages of hope to our young people, and the other resource caregivers or social workers are on the line. And of course, we will be sharing all these messages of hope on our email, on our website, through social media. So do you want to kick us off, Patty?
Yeah, so what can I say? I mean, that video summed it up very perfectly. I think, positivity and hope, it lives in us, and no pandemic, no crisis can take that away from us. I think sometimes we have to look a little bit harder during these times where we feel alone and isolated, but it's there and it's alive, and it's by doing the small and little things in our life that give us that joy and keeping it moving forward. I think that's what we need to do. We need to remind ourselves that it's not gone, it's here, and we can pass it on through others. And I think, watch that video. I just continuously watch that video, because I know that made my heart feel hopeful.
My message of hope for young people and is just to stay, just like Patty said, and just like everyone else said in that video, is to stay hopeful. And I think that for me personally, as a former foster youth, I think in this time, it often makes me feel how I felt when I was in care, and the feeling of being alone and being isolated. But I think one thing that is important to know is even though it feels as if we're alone and it feels as if we're isolated, every single person on this planet is going through the same exact thing. Our challenges may vary depending on who we are, but altogether we're all hoping for a positive outcome, and we're waiting for the day that we all can connect in person again. So my message is to stay hopeful, stay positive, and stay connected. Eladine?
So I have this poster that's on my wall in one of my offices, and it says, "Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass, but it's learning how to dance in the rain." And as I went through this first town hall meeting, I thought, wow, these young adults, they have learned how to dance in the rain. And they've really been able to get past not just waiting for something to happen. You folks are making things happen for yourselves. And that's what dancing in the rain is looking for opportunities, even in times where it's really tough, to be able to enjoy and look for the silver lining in every situation. So I think that would be my message of hope, not waiting for the storm to pass, but learn how to dance in the rain and make the best of what's happening in front of you. And you folks are all examples of that. And so that's my thought, my message.
I want to end by just kind of thanking everybody who, and Patty and Melissa for putting this together. And we have so many champions. One of the things that I think is so important is that message of reaching out for help. And for we had more than 200 people register for this webinar, and about 60 of them are young people who experience foster care, and all the others are supporters, parents, caregivers, and others who want to be that support. But one quick message for all of the rest of us who are listening is that we also have to support each other. I want to thank all the champions who have provided the support for this town hall, who've given us their moral support and their encouragement. And I'm going to read out their names right now. So we have the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Division of the Department of Health, CASA and the Judiciary, Seeds of Peace, Child Welfare Services of the State of Hawaii, Epic Ohana, Family Programs Hawaii, Halekipa, Haleopio, Hano, the Hawaii Children's Action Network, Hawaii Youth Services Network, HEP Free Hawaii, Ho'oi Kaika Partnership Maui, Iola Lahui, Rural Hawaii Behavioral Health, Kauai Resilience Project, Maui Youth and Family Services, One Shared Future, Partners in Development Foundation, Focused, and Salvation Army. So we're all here together with each other. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lori. I'd just like to share real quickly some of the comments that we got in the Q&A. A message of hope. Don't lose hope. When the sun goes out, the stars come down. And how beautiful. I mean, and how fortunate that we do live in a place where we can see the stars. We also have some people saying, seek solace in nature. Notice the movement of the clouds. Everyone loves the dancing in the rain. And a reminder that this time is a blessing to showcase our strength and look forward to the time, the best days are ahead of you. Thank you guys all so much. Staying connected, be strong, engage in healthy self-care. I cannot express to you how much power it is to be ending this meeting on these messages of hope. And I know that where I'm sitting right now, you all are providing me hope that I know I very much needed. So thank you so much. And I hope that as we move forward together with each other, that we can continue to spread it to others, to remind them that we are in this together and we will get through this together. I'd like to end this webinar with sharing some resources. But before we do that, I'd like to see real quickly through a poll if you guys would like to be a part of these virtual events, more virtual events. So I'll give you guys a quick minute to answer that poll now. Don't be shy, be honest. All right, thank you guys. I know, thank you guys so much. Really, it's been an honor and a blessing to be sitting here with all of you today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm gonna go ahead and share one last slide and we'll close out with this. There are resources available that, oh my goodness, sorry, technical malfunction. I apologize. Okay, here we go. There are resources available. We would like for you folks to take a look at these resources right here. Please download the Foster Hope Hawaii app. It is a phone app available on Android and iOS. It's an amazing app that has resources listed out county by county. There's also a list of COVID-19 resources as well. After you download the app, you can actually find that in the news section of the app. Additionally, I really urge you guys to visit Epic Ohana website at www.epicohana.org for a list of COVID-19 resources, as well as some information about what Epic Ohana does and offers. Additionally, for more information or resources about High Hopes, please visit www.highhopes.org for any information that you may need, or even figuring out what other ways can you help our young people in care and out of care right now. Again, if you have any information, please email us at highhopes@epicohana.org. I do want to state that I have been seeing the questions roll in, and we will find a way to get these answers to you. I know that these are really important questions rolling in. I hope that you guys have had some chance to get some answers on some of these topics that we've had. But we also ask, stay in touch with us on social media. Remember, don't just do a like, comment if you want to, so we can talk with each other. But our Instagram is High Hopes 808 and Youth Partners 808. You can also visit us at Facebook under High Hopes Initiative and Twitter at High Hopes Initiative. This has been an amazing time being here in this space with you all. I hope that we walk away from this town hall feeling more informed, knowing that we have support. Our young people who are on the line with us right now, you have support. And please remember that as you move throughout your day, and feeling just a little bit more hopeful that we're going to get through this pandemic together. Thank you all so much, and I look forward to the next time in which we can get together like this.
Thank you all.